Sort of the chicken or the egg. What came first, Border City Wrestling or the Can-Am School?
They came very closely together. We had set up the ring so that myself and Bobby Clancy and Otis Apollo and Chris Pilon had a place to go and try to take bumps and everything else. And we were running our first show, so we were getting ready for that. And then as we started getting ready for that show, and we got to know people like Mickey Doyle and Al Snow. They came over here, and Denny Cass, God rest his soul, they'd come over here because they just wanted a place. Because at the time there wasn't a place in the Metro Detroit area to go get any ring time. So they started coming over here, and then we started having people ask. So Mickey Doyle's kind of one like, hey, what do you think if we do a wrestling school? So that's kind of how it was born. Really, it was Mickey going, what do you think about doing a wrestling school? And I mean that's how it started, and we brought our first class in, and just kind of rolled on from there, right? Started training. It was the Canadian Destroyer, Doug Chevalier. I started training. I was just a teenager. I was 16 years old. We didn't even have a ring then. We were training. He was renting time at the little gym there at Forest Glade Arena. And he did that while his ring was getting built, and then we trained in his backyard. We used to have to set up the ring, train, and then take it down. And then, like I said, when we started Border City Wrestling, it was to kind of try to get the local guys, here, myself, Bobby Clancy, Otis Apollo, and that started, and get us some opportunities. And then with Denny Cass and Mickey Doyle and that coming out of here, I mean, those are some guys that really put time and effort into myself and other people here and helped formulate what we have here at Can-Am. Met Al Snow shortly before our first show. He was in the main event with Mickey Doyle of our first BCW show, and I always had carte blanche, right? I could go down there to Lima anytime I wanted. I could stay at the school for as long as I wanted. I could train, and do whatever I wanted there. It was like his school was our school. And, I mean, I took full advantage of that, right? I mean, I was joking with D'Lo the other day. We'd spend a week or two up here. He'd live at my house and train, and then we'd go down there and we'd live at Al's gym because he had a residence there. And we just, it was just a great time. We're just training and just trying to make it. We're getting picked in the top 20 wrestling schools in the world of all time. It was pretty humbling. I mean, I think we've earned it.
Yeah.
But it's nice to see. It's nice to be recognized. All of us in this business are looking for some type of accreditation or some type of accolades, and it's nice to see. It's a testament to the students that have came through here because we've had a lot of different trainers through here with myself over the years. It started with me and Mickey Doyle. Joey Legend was a trainer here. D'Lo Brown was a trainer here. Tyson Duke's been a trainer here. Alex Shelley, Chris Sabin, Petey Williams. There's been so many guys, but the one constant has been that we're able to keep producing talent.
Yeah.
And honestly, until we looked at it recently and kind of like started tallying it up for the relaunch, I didn't realize how many world champions we've had come through here, right? And I mean, and it's just you start naming them off. It's Rhino, it's Bobby Roode, it's Eric Young, it's Gail and Kim, and then you just even start thinking about it. I mean, you even get down to like the Allison Kays or the Siennas. I mean, was a TNA Knockouts champion.
Yeah.
And she was here for the better part of 2 years. And there's just so much good talent that's came through here. And I think one of the things has been that we focus on fundamentals and basics, which I think sometimes are lacking. And the other thing is a lot of our guys come back and help out, right? Like I was just talking to Alex Shelley the other day, and him and Chris Sabin want to come in here. One, because they want to roll around, but two, they're excited to see the school back up and kicking full steam, and they want to see the new students and everything else, right? So it's nice that the graduates and the successful ones, still stop in here, and it's good. It's good for the students that are here because they get to, I always say it's like that scene in Rocky. Either where Rocky goes into mixed gym or even more so, when Apollo Creed there, when he takes over training Rocky in Rocky 3 and he walks him into the gym in LA, and all those guys just stop and look at Apollo and Rocky like in awe, right? And that's what happens when Rhino or Bobby Roode or Eric Young or any of the guys walk through that door, right? I mean, all the students are like, I mean, these are TV stars.
Yeah.
It's like watching a superhero walk off the pages of a comic book and walk into the dojo in the middle of your training. I try to never let them know when they're coming too, right? I want that shock and awe factor. Holy fuck, Rhino just walked in here. Like, I just watched him win the tag titles on SmackDown. What the hell's he doing here?
So it's been
Slayer. I was told long ago by Terry Taylor that no matter what we're doing, whether it's a movie, whether it's a TV show, whether it's a wrestling match, whether it's a bedtime story to your 4-year-old, give us a hero, give us somebody we can relate to, and then give us an obstacle that's in between that hero and their goal. Hero, heroine. I think it's all hero now, right? It's no longer heroine. It's no longer actress.
I think heroin's just the drug now.
But I mean, and that's really what we do, right? Here's a hero. Here's a hero's goal. Here's the obstacle that's in its way. Here's your dragon who's gonna destroy the village. Here's the dragon slayer who's gonna come around, slay the dragon, and save the village. It's a simple story. You can tell it a million different ways, but at the end of the day, hero, goal, an obstacle in the center. And then the whole story becomes out of how does that hero overcome that obstacle to get to their goal. That's it. All the other BS you want to put in there, that's it. And when we do it right, that's it. And that's money. I was lucky when I got into WCW there, and I got to spend a lot of time at the power plant. And Jody Hamilton, the masked assassin, who's one of the smartest men in the history of this business. Not just a great performer, but as far as for intellect and wrestling IQ, he's one of the best out there. And Terry Taylor, getting to work side by side with Terry Taylor. He's one of my best friends still to this day, and there's a reason why he teaches the advanced class, like the last class at the WWE Performance Center. Yeah. And it's because he's one of the most underrated talents in wrestling history as far as for an in-ring talent. And then you look at what he's done behind the scenes, he just never really gets his credit. So he certainly was a huge influence. And then of course getting to work with and be around like Jerry Jarrett and Dusty Rhodes and people like that, right? Like I used to sit at the monitor there with Jerry Jarrett and Dusty Rhodes and watch the shows in the Nashville Fairgrounds, and talk wrestling. Jerry Jarrett used to call me every Monday. Every Monday I'd get in around lunchtime, and sure enough, by 2 p.m. Nashville time, I'd get the receptionist Caroline would be like, "Scott, there's a call for you on line 2." Okay. Get on you could set your watch by it. It was Scott, you look at the show yet? And we just sit there and talk about the show and talk about wrestling and talk about what he thought worked and what he thought didn't. And those type of opportunities are, it's like it's the old saying, it takes a village to raise a child. Yeah. And it's kind of true, right? We gotta all keep learning. I'm still out there trying to learn. Trying to learn every day that I'm in here in the dojo and every day that I'm out there at a show or whatever else. It's learning, right? It's just little things. I always say wrestling's an art. Like this isn't engineering. There isn't a formula. It's not a mathematical equation. It's an art. So it means there's not just one right answer, right? This is an English exam, man. This isn't math, It's not the square, the hypotenuse is equal to the sum of the square of the other two sides. It's did this work or did this not work? And if it worked, I don't care if you did it completely different than I do it. If it worked, it worked, right? And that's what we do. We're art. We're creative. Every match is unique. Every wrestler is unique and different. So, and that's one of the things we try to strive here. Find yourself. Find what works for you. Like, you'll do something different than I do and do something different than Alex Shelley does. There's those core basic principles that are always the same. But what you take and build with those, it's totally up to you.
November 5th. Is that correct?
Yeah, 5th. November 5th, BCW Excellence at St. Clair College. Got Anthony Corelli, formerly known as Santino Morella, coming in. We got Aaron Rex, formerly Damian Sandow, two amazing talents. And then we got one of our very own returning back to where she started, and one of those women that blazed the trail, and Gail Kim. And then we got all the other talent here, the Cody Deaners, the Tyson Dukeses, the Phil Atlas, the Johnny Devines, the John Bolins, from top to bottom. I think when you come to a BCW show, and especially Excellence, which is our big show of the year, it's our Super Bowl, it's our WrestleMania, I think you see the best of the best. And that's what you'll see November 5th. Kim coming back here, and here's Gail is someone who's wrestling serious from the second I met her. And she wanted to be an athlete, and then she came around at a time when women weren't allowed to be athletes. And she's one of the ones that really blazed the trail with women being able to go out there, and she strived for that in WWE. And then I think when she came to TNA, right when we were starting to reach like some national prominence with Spike and everything else, she came in and was like, I want to wrestle. Just give us a little bit of time. Let us. We got to crawl before we walk. We got to walk before we run. And her and Miss Jackie and some of the great talents we had there, Tracy Brooks and everything else, like laid the groundwork. And then we brought in Kia. We brought in Awesome Kong.
Yeah. And beautiful people and
And what we did with the women's division, if you go back and watch it, is we told stories. And you knew who everybody else was. You knew that Gail was that plucky, never say die girl next door that, fought no matter what. You just couldn't keep her down. And you knew that Awesome Kong was that overpowering monster force. It was like Dutch Mantel used to say that there's dragons and there's dragon slayers. You know, and you had to have a dragon slayer if you don't have any damn dragons. Well, when we brought in Awesome Kong, we had a hell of a dragon. So Gail got to be our dragon slayer. But then even on down, you had the beautiful people who was that catty group in high school, right? Heather's group, or whatever you want to call it.
The mean girls,
I mean, all the way down through it. And Madison Rain came in, and she was the sweet, innocent, doe-eyed girl who got taken in by the bad group. And I'll tell you to this day, like Miss Jackie, Miss Texas, whatever you want to call her, she's one of the toughest people on this planet, and I don't think I'd want to square off with her. I don't care that she's 5 feet tall. I don't care that she weighs 147 pounds, because that's 147 pounds of tough woman, right? And they came in there and they took wrestling serious, and they made the Knockouts division something, and that's something we felt strongly about. That was like I remember we did an entire series of commercials, Spike specific commercials. It wasn't us shooting them TNA style. It was the entire Spike crew, and I was brought in to be the one of the coordinators. And our whole thing is, we're not divas. And that was our whole marketing campaign. Is that's why we came up with Knockouts, right? When they were selling bra and panties matches and pillow fights, we were selling beautiful women still. Like, look, at the end of the day, this is an aesthetic business, guy or girl. So you've got to find a look that works for you. But it doesn't have to be one look. And even beyond that, there's got to be some substance, right? It can't be all sizzle and no substance. And our girls had substance, and they had characters, and you knew who everybody was. And we went. I mean, a lot of the stuff wasn't that overly complicated. Like, we did some really cool stuff with Gail and Kia and some of that. And then we started bringing in Sarah Stock and everything else. But at the core, we were telling stories. We were telling stories with the Knockouts, and that's why for I think it was almost 2 years, highest rated segment was the Knockout segment.
Yeah.
And I remember guys saying, well, that's because it's the crossover hour. The crossover hour is the highest hour. That's why you're doing more than the main event. And then we got Gail and Kong out there in the main event, and we still did the highest quarter hour. Like, at the end of the day, people dug what the girls were doing and what we were creating there, because it was different.
Yeah.
At a time when I think a lot of stuff looked the same. If you wanted to see, beautiful women, if you wanted to see athletic women, if you wanted to see competition, if you wanted to see that, there's no place else to watch it other than the Knockouts. At least, I mean, on a national level, right? Like, I don't want to discount what Shimmer was doing and everything else, because obviously you can see. I mean, I watched a lot of Shimmer stuff and went, "Oh, I'm taking her. Oh, I'm taking her." I mean, they're it wasn't shimming, like what was it, women athletes, right? I mean, and that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to put the women out there in a positive way. Look, they're still good and evil, right? I mean, like that. No, not everybody's got to be positive. You just got to give them that good, give them that evil, give them that dragon, and give them that dragon. No, I mean, I remember Frank Trigg called me, and he goes, because I trained Trigg for his TNA stuff, right? A great dude. And I get a phone call one day after not talking to him for ages, and it's Scott. I got a friend. He's played in the NFL for 7 years. He wants to do this wrestling. He's with some people in Atlanta, but I don't think he's on the right track. I told him the only person I trust with him is you. He goes, "Can he come up there and would you mind training him?" And right to myself, I'm like, "Ah, fuck." Damn, like what does he play? And he's like, offensive tackle. So I'm picturing, the big old Billy Bob, slobby. You tell me a guy played 7 years in the NFL. I'm stereotyping him right away as obnoxious, and self-centered and lazy. And then, but because of Trigg, I'm like, Frank, you want me to do it, I'll do it. So Moose comes up, and I see the stud of studs when it comes to athletic ability. And you see a guy who is one of the humblest, most down-to-earth guys in the world. And you see a guy who walked away from almost $1 million a year, to come do this for nothing. Because he's like, I'd rather do this for nothing and be poor than to be a millionaire and play football. So I mean,
that's awesome.
He like if we run a big show and I don't call moves, I know I'm gonna get a text and a phone call. Why am I not on it? Why am I not on your show? Why am I not there? I'm your guy. You know, and I mean, don't get me wrong. I book him on everything that I could, but I sometimes feel bad because Moose is at a level where, you know, what he does, he comes here to give back.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's an amazing thing. And he's like, you know,
Because he's just getting bigger and bigger now from Ring of Honor, now in TNA, and the opportunities he's getting there, he's definitely getting there too.
yeah. I mean, he's you know, he's as big as getting as big gets in TNA, right? I mean, he's gonna be. I mean, it's a matter of probably days, you know, at the most months before he's a world champion, right? I mean, and he deserved it because he earned it. I remember him. He traded in his giant SUV from when he played in the NFL for this little. It was like, it wasn't a smart car, but it wasn't much more than. And I'm thinking, this big dude is going to travel all over the country to Indies and Evolve and the BCW and everything in this little tiny car. When you see him, it reminds me of Bubba Smith in Police Academy, right? Where it's like, I just kept waiting for him to rip the front seat out and just sit in the back seat while he drives. Nobody other than me and you, Jim, is going to get that reference.
Yeah, I know.
But that's what but he did it because he's like, I was like, wow, is it get rid of your truck? Yeah, why? Dude, this thing's so cheap on gas. You know what? Those are the sacrifices you make.
Nice.
Yeah, I think there's. I mean, we're a television industry now. We're no longer like. I mean, you know, WWE tells you they're doing sports entertainment. They're not doing pro wrestling. And I mean, credit where credit's due. They became a multinational, worldwide company that does hundreds of millions of dollars a year. So it's obviously working for them. You know, and there's a lot of great things on their show. I myself, being a purist, I'm a pro wrestling guy. Like, I want pro wrestling. I want heat. I want a babyface standing tall in the middle of the ring. I want a villainous heel, finally defeated and vanquished. And I think that's when we do our stuff that way. That's when it works best. And to me, a perfect example was. I didn't get to watch the whole show, but I actually sought out the match online when they did the special, the network special from the Rico Coliseum. And Triple H went up there with
Ambrose.
Ambrose, yeah. And I mean, that wasn't two guys that spent a week planning stuff out and walking through stuff. That was storytelling in the ring. And Triple H did the same thing on Raw one night. He took Dolph Ziggler, who's a super talented guy who's kind of gets caught in the middle of the two worlds. Either there's two trains of thought within the industry on Dolph. One is that he's amazing, and the other one is that there's some people that think he's everything that's wrong with the business. Right? He's doing too much. He's this. He's that. Right? It's that that he's not doing what we do. That's not our thing. That's we're old school. He's a super great guy, super great athlete, super talented. And I think that match with Triple H on Raw showed that he can go out there and do what we used to do and do that pro wrestling thing and feel and create on the spot. I think they need to be given that opportunity. There's so much in our industry, and I just listened to Don Callis on Chris Jericho's podcast, and one of the things they're talking about is he shows up in his first paper and he's like, oh, got these great ideas, and then he gets told by the agent, by the producer, oh no, what are you talking about? This is what you're doing. That's not art. I mean, that's hiring somebody to paint by the numbers.
It's like going from Broadway to Hollywood.
Yeah, and I mean, you know what? Hey, there's a place for it, and I think Triple H has done some great things for the business. And I think there's a lot of things that you're seeing, a lot of his ideas that are kind of blending that old school with the new school. And I think that's one of the reasons why I think people are really digging NXT on a level, right? It's not overproduced. I mean, they still you watch Bobby Roode get lowered on that platform and everything, right? And you watch some of the cool stuff they do. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's a wrestling show. There's wrestling matches, there's wrestling interviews, there's wrestling personality, and there's defined characters, and that's. I was watching one of the shows the other night, and I was kind of thinking to myself, and I won't say names, especially because I think some of the guys I'm thinking of are really talented, but what are they doing? Why are they out there? They're just filling 6-7 minutes. You don't really know who they are, or what they're doing, or what their purpose is, and that's one of the things, right? Is how do you tell a story if you don't know who you are or where you're going?
Yeah.
But I mean, I'm hopeful. I think there's a good movement in this business where there's some storytelling and that coming back in there and combining it with some of the amazing things that modern wrestling's doing. Right? I mean, I've been there at the Tokyo Dome and at the Subu Dome and everything else there, and I've watched the Young Bucks and the Time Splitters, you know, Kenny Omegas and everybody else go and do what they do, and I mean, that's amazing. And I mean, I've seen some of the stuff where people are like, yeah, okay, I kind of get it, like, you know, I get their point that maybe they're doing too much or they're killing this or they're killing that. I totally get it, but then I see other times where they're out there and I'm like, where it's just done, it's so right, and it means, and I lean towards old school, but I think we evolve or we die, right? So I mean, I think that there's a mix in going out there, combining what's great about 2016 and combining it with what's been great about wrestling for the last, I almost said wrestling, oh my god, it's been great about wrestling for the last 80 years. Imagine right now if the internet existed in the 90s when All Japan was going strong and when All Japan Women, right? That's something that people forget. Like all the stuff we're seeing now in guys wrestling. Sorry boys, the All Japan Women were doing it in the 90s. If you watch that stuff that they were doing, it was so light years ahead athletically. Anything that
Toyota and
oh my god, yeah, just from top to bottom, like. I mean, I remember at one point, I mean, being with some of the boys, and there was an argument that, well, that's because they're girls and they're smaller and their bodies are different. Like, say what you want, it took us 25 plus years to catch up to what they were doing, right? It's pretty amazing, and I mean, I think there was a bit of a surreal moment just recently. You know, I got home from here, and I DVR everything, right? I think like everybody else does these days. And I go back and I grab something to eat and I sit there at the table and I pop on NXT, and there in the first match is Bobby Roode teaming with Ty Dillinger, who was Ronnie Spears, who has been here at Border City Wrestling and has been in here training at Can-Am. You know, I mean, I sent him and Jake O'Reilly both to Japan right before that earthquake hit. But, I mean, seeing those two guys come with Bobby Roode and Ronnie Spears, you know, Ty Dillinger out there, and then Sanity comes out, and, you know, I knew at the time going in that Sanity, the guy under the hood, was Eric Young, so I'm like, wow, like you got 3 BCW alumni, you know, three guys that have been in Can-Am and, you know, trained at Can-Am Dojo, and here they are on NXT, right? Yeah. And then, you know, I flip on SmackDown and there's Rhino doing his thing again, and it's pretty cool. And I mean, I'm proud of the graduates we put out of here. I think we're all proud of the graduates we put out of here, and it's something we continue to take pride in. I mean, I want people to know and promoters know. I like when promoters say, like, or, you know, say, hey, like, this guy called me and I told him don't even send me it. It used to be tapes, now it's links and that, right? Yeah. So he said he trained with you, so I just booked him, right? I mean, that's what makes me proud is when promoters, you know, and students say, yeah, I went to this place and I told the guy, I said, look, you know, I can show you something. He said, oh, if you train there and if Scott's good, he's like, you're fine for us, like you're on, like, you know, put him on the show. And that's the kind of thing that makes me proud. I think there's a reputation of excellence here, right? And that's something we take very seriously. We want people to come in here. We want them to work hard. We want them to respect the business. We want them to know this is, you know, this is a privilege. And there's very few people that get to go out there and live their dream, right? I mean, people grow up wanting to play Major League Baseball, and very few get a chance. People grow up wanting to play in the NHL, and, you know, very few get a chance. And people grow up wanting to be a professional wrestler, and very few get a chance. Very few even get a chance to walk in the door. I say when you walk in the door here and you try out, you come in here and you do one day in here, you've done more than 98% of the people out there, right? Because everybody says they want to do it, but it gets real fast. Like, it gets real extremely fast when you walk through that door and you kind of realize. And it's a scary moment, right? Because that's when all the BS you've been talking for all those years, all of a sudden now, you know, it's put up or shut up, and you're either going to do it or not do it.